My name's Ben Carter. I'm 34, and I live in a small cedar-shingled cabin tucked so deep in the Douglas firs of Cedar Falls, Oregon, that the nearest cell signal is a 20-minute hike up the ridge. The cabin's nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, a wood stove that coughs when the wind shifts, and a porch that creaks like it's telling stories every time I step on it. It's been home for 4 years now, ever since Sarah's cancer finally won and left me with a 6-year-old daughter, and a silence I still haven't figured out how to fill. Maya's the only reason the silence doesn't swallow me whole. She's 6 going on 60 with her mother's dark curls and a curiosity that could power the whole county. Mornings, she's up before the birds, tugging on my sleeve to show me a newt she found under the porch or asking why the moss grows only on the north side of the trees. I answer the best I can. Most days, that's enough. I work as a ranger for the Cedar Falls district. It's not the kind of job that comes with a uniform or a siren, just a radio, a beat-up Ford pickup, and a stretch of forest older than the state itself. My shifts start at dawn and end whenever the light does. In between, I patrol the trails, tag poachers, and run the occasional field class for college kids who think conservation is a hashtag. I like the work. It keeps my hands busy and my head quiet. That morning started like any other. October fog hung low between the trunks, thick enough to muffle the crunch of my boots on the duff. I'd left Maya with Mrs. Delgado next door. She watches her when I'm on early patrol, and promised pancakes when I got back. The air smelled of wet bark and the faint smoke of someone's wood stove miles away. I was halfway through my loop, checking a motion camera near the East Ridge when I heard it. A sound so thin it could have been the wind. A whimper, almost. Human. I stopped, listened. Nothing but the drip of condensation from the needles overhead. Then it came again, fainter, from the direction of the escarpment. The escarpment's a nasty drop, a sheer face of basalt in the roots that's claimed more than one careless hiker. I've pulled bodies out of there before. I didn't want to do it again. I followed the sound off-trail, pushing through salal and sword fern until the ground sloped sharp under my boots. The fog thinned just enough to show the edge. 20 feet below, half hidden by a tangle of devil's club, lay a woman. She was on her side, one leg bent wrong, city boots shredded at the toes. Her jacket, expensive, navy, the kind you see in boardrooms, was torn open at the shoulder, and her hair, dark and matted with blood, stuck to her cheek. A leather satchel lay a few feet away, strap snapped. She wasn't moving, but her chest rose and fell in shallow hitches. I scrambled down the slope, boots sliding on moss, grabbing roots to keep from tumbling after her. When I reached her, I knelt and pressed 2 fingers to her neck, pulse steady but fast. Her skin was cold, clammy, a fracture, maybe a concussion. I needed to get her out. "Hey," I said low. "Can you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered. Gray-green, bloodshot. She focused on me for a second, then tried to push up on an elbow and gasped, clutching her leg. "Don't move," I told her. I've got you." She shook her head, frantic. No police." Her voice was a rasp. "Don't let them find me." Then her eyes rolled back and she went limp. I didn't have time to argue. I slid one arm under her shoulders, the other under her knees, and lifted. She was lighter than I expected, but dead weight is still dead weight. The climb back up was slow, every root a lifeline, every slip a curse under my breath. By the time I reached the trail, my shirt was soaked with sweat and her blood. I carried her the 1.5 miles to the truck, laid her across the back seat, and covered her with the emergency blanket I keep behind the seat. She didn't stir. I radioed in a vague, injured hiker, transporting to clinic, then drove the rutted Forest Service road faster than I should have. The clinic was 20 minutes out, but the cabin was 5. I made the call. Maya was sitting on the porch steps when I pulled up, Mrs. Delgado beside her with a mug of coffee. The old woman's eyes widened at the sight of the woman in my arms. "Ben, inside," I said. "Clear the couch." Mrs. Delgado took Maya by the hand and hustled her in. I carried the stranger through the door, past the stacked firewood and the kid drawings taped to the fridge, and laid her on the couch. Maya peered around the doorframe, eyes huge. "Daddy, is she dead?" "No, baby, she's hurt. Go help Mrs. Delgado with the first aid kit." Maya scampered off. I grabbed the kit from the bathroom, cut away the pant leg around the stranger's injury. Compound fracture, tibia, clean break, but the bone hadn't pierced skin. I splinted it with a magazine and duct tape, Ranger MacGyver, and wrapped it tight. She moaned but didn't wake. Mrs. Delgado brought ice and a towel. "You call search and rescue?" "Not yet." I glanced at the woman's face. Pale, sharp cheekbones, a faint scar at her hairline. Not a hiker. Not even close. She said no police. "That's not how this works, Ben." "I know." I wiped my hands on my jeans. "Give me an hour. If she's not stable, I'll call." Mrs. Delgado sighed, but didn't argue. She took Maya to the kitchen to make hot chocolate. I stayed with the stranger. Her satchel had landed on the floor when I carried her in. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside, a cracked phone, a leather-bound planner, a wallet thick with cards. Platinum, black, the kind I'd never touch. Driver's license, Alexandra Hartwell, Portland address, no emergency contact. A folded document peeked from the planner's pocket. Letterhead, Hartwell Industries. I didn't read it. I closed the bag. Maya came back with a stuffed fox and laid it beside the woman's hand. "For when she wakes up," she whispered. I ruffled her hair. "Good thinking." The woman, Alexandra, stirred. Her eyes opened, unfocused, then fixed on me. She tried to sit up, winced, and fell back. "Where?" "My cabin. You're safe. Name's Ben." She closed her eyes, breathed through the pain. "Alex," she said, "just Alex." Maya peeked over the couch arm. "Hi, Alex. I'm Maya. This is Mr. Fox. He helps with owies." Alex's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Thank you, Maya." I stood. "You need a doctor." "No." Her voice sharpened. "No hospitals, no reports." "You've got a broken leg." "I'll manage." She tried to swing her legs off the couch, gasped, and went white. I caught her shoulders. "You're not managing anything right now. Lie down." She did, breathing hard. Maya climbed up beside her, careful not to jostle the splint. "Daddy's good at fixing things," she said. "He fixed my bike when the chain broke." Alex looked at me, something unreadable in her eyes. "I bet he is." I didn't know what to say to that. I didn't know what to say to any of it. All I knew was the woman on my couch wasn't lost. She was running, and for reasons I couldn't name, I wasn't ready to send her back. The first night, Alex drifted in and out of fever. I kept the fire low and the room dim, checking her pulse every hour, swapping ice packs, forcing sips of water between her teeth when she'd let me. Maya slept on the floor beside the couch, curled like a comma with Mr. Fox under her chin. Around 3 a.m., Alex's eyes snapped open, glassy but lucid. "You have painkillers?" she rasped. "Prescription stuff from Sarah's last round. Expired but strong." She nodded once. I crushed 2 tablets, mixed them with applesauce, and held the spoon while she swallowed. 10 minutes later, her breathing evened out, and the lines around her mouth softened. I sat in the rocker across from her, boots still on, radio on the table in case the clinic called back. They hadn't. Morning came gray and dripping. Mrs. Delgado dropped off a pot of oatmeal and a thermos of coffee, took one look at the stranger, and left without questions. Maya padded in wearing dinosaur pajamas, climbed onto the couch, and studied Alex like she was a museum exhibit. "Your hair's pretty even when it's messy," she announced. Alex gave a weak laugh. High praise. I lifted Maya down. Let her rest. But Alex shook her head. "It's okay. I'm awake." She wasn't, not really. Still, she propped herself on an elbow and watched Maya spoon oatmeal into a bowl shaped like a bear. When I tried to take over feeding duties, Alex lifted a hand. "I can manage." She took the spoon, movements careful, deliberate. The tremor in her wrist told me the painkillers hadn't fully kicked in. Maya watched her eat. "Daddy says you fell off a cliff." "Something like that." "Were you running from bad guys?" Alex's eyes flicked to me, then back to Maya. "Maybe." Maya nodded solemnly. "Daddy runs from bears. He's fast." A real smile tugged at Alex's mouth. "I believe it." I left them to it and stepped onto the porch. The fog hadn't burned off. The forest looked like it was holding its breath. My radio crackled. Routine check-in from dispatch. I reported the trail camera battery low, nothing else. No mention of the woman inside. I wasn't sure why I was lying yet. When I came back in, Alex had finished half the bowl and was letting Maya show her how to fold a paper crane. Her fingers were clumsy with the splint, but she followed every step. Origami helps with focus, Maya explained. Daddy taught me when Mommy went to heaven. Alex's hands stilled. She looked at me, something soft and painful crossing her face. I busied myself with coffee. By day 3, Alex could sit up without wincing. I'd rigged a crutch from a downed alder branch and duct tape. She hobbled to the table, refused my arm, and lowered herself into a chair like she was testing gravity. Maya set a plate of scrambled eggs in front of her. Eat, the kid ordered. Growing bones need protein, Alex obeyed. I hid a smile behind my mug. Afternoons, I'd head out on short patrols, radio clipped to my belt, Maya under strict instructions to yell if anything went south. Nothing did. Alex slept, read the field guides stacked on the shelf, asked Maya 100 questions about salamanders and nurse logs. Evenings, we cooked together, simple stuff, venison stew, baked potatoes, whatever the garden gave up. Alex peeled carrots with one hand, slow but determined. She didn't complain once. One night the power flickered out, storm rolling in from the coast. I lit the kerosene lamps, stoked the stove. Maya fell asleep on the rug mid-story. Alex and I sat on opposite sides of the coffee table, the only light between us the orange glow from the fire. You don't have to keep me, she said quietly. I know. I could pay for a hotel, a doctor, whatever you need. I don't need anything, she studied me. Everyone needs something. Not me. I poked the logs. Got the forest, got Maya. That's enough. She was silent so long I thought she'd fallen asleep. Then, I used to think the same thing about boardrooms and bottom lines. I waited. I was wrong, she said. The storm hit hard, rain lashing the tin roof, wind rattling the windows. Maya stirred, whimpered. I carried her to her bed, tucked her in. When I came back, Alex had moved to the couch, blanket pulled to her chin, staring at the flames. I can take the floor, I offered. I'm not kicking you out of your own bed. It's a couch. She gave a tired laugh. Stubborn. Ranger trait. She closed her eyes. Wake me if the pain gets bad. I didn't sleep much that night. The fire settled into embers. Around 2, Alex shifted, murmured something I couldn't catch. I moved to the couch, sat on the edge. Ben, she whispered, eyes still shut. Thank you. For what? For not asking. I didn't answer. Just pulled the blanket higher around her shoulders and went back to the rocker. Day 7. The swelling in her leg had gone down enough to swap the magazine splint for a real one I'd bartered from the clinic, off the books. Alex tested her weight, winced, but stayed upright. I should go, she said. Where? She didn't have an answer. Maya solved it. You can stay till the cranes fly south. That's what Daddy says about guests. Alex looked at me. I shrugged. Cranes don't leave till November. She stayed. She started small tasks, folding laundry one-handed, reading to Maya, identifying mushrooms on the porch steps. She asked questions about the forest like she was cramming for a test. How old are the oldest trees? What eats what? Why does the soil smell like that after rain? I answered until my voice gave out. One afternoon I came back from checking a beaver dam to find her at the kitchen table, Maya on her lap, both of them drawing on butcher paper. Alex had sketched a perfect cross-section of a Douglas fir, rings labeled cambium layer shaded. Maya had added stick figure animals in the branches. Where'd you learn that? I asked. College, before law school. I was going to be a botanist. She didn't look up. Family had other plans. Maya tugged her sleeve. Draw Daddy next. He's tall like the trees. Alex glanced at me, cheeks pink. Maybe later. That night, after Maya was asleep, Alex stood at the window watching the moon rise over the ridge. I poured 2 mugs of chamomile. You miss it? I asked. The city? She wrapped both hands around the mug. I miss sleep. I miss silence. I miss... She stopped. I don't know what I miss. I leaned against the counter. You don't have to figure it out tonight. She turned. You make it sound easy. It's not, but it's allowed. She studied me for a long moment, then, quietly, I've never met anyone who means that. I didn't know what to say, so I just refilled her mug. 11 days in, the rain stopped, the forest steamed under weak sun. Alex could walk the porch without the crutch. Maya had declared her part of the team. I caught myself watching the way Alex laughed when Maya mispronounced photosynthesis, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she concentrated. One evening, I came in from splitting wood to find them on the rug, Maya teaching Alex how to whistle with an acorn cap. Alex's first attempt sounded like a dying goose. Maya collapsed into giggles. Alex looked up, caught my eye, and for a second, the room felt too small. Maya yawned. Bedtime story? Alex raised an eyebrow. Your dad's the storyteller. Maya shook her head. You do voices better. I carried Maya to bed. When I came back, Alex was at the sink, washing the acorn cap like it was fine china. She likes you, I said. I like her. She didn't turn around. She makes the world make sense. I dried the cap, set it on the windowsill. You could stay longer. She went still. I don't belong here, Ben. You belong where you're happy. She laughed, bitter. I wouldn't know happy if it bit me. I wanted to argue. Instead, I said, then stay till you do. She looked at me then, really looked, and something shifted behind her eyes. Not trust, not yet, but possibility. Outside, an owl called. Inside, the fire settled. Alex dried her hands on the towel, slow, deliberate. I'll stay 1 more week, she said. Then we'll see. I nodded. 1 week. It felt like a beginning. The storm rolled in on the 12th night, a Pacific monster that tore across the Cascades and slammed into Cedar Falls like it had a grudge. Wind screamed through the canopy, snapping branches the size of my arm. Rain came sideways, drumming the tin roof until the cabin sounded like it was inside a barrel. Maya woke crying before the first thunderclap finished echoing. I carried her to the couch, wrapped her in the quilt Sarah's mother made, and stoked the stove until the room glowed orange. Alex was already up, standing at the window in one of my old flannel shirts, sleeves rolled to the elbow. Her silhouette cut sharp against the lightning flashes. She didn't flinch when the next boom rattled the glass. Bad one, I said. Feels personal, she answered. I checked the radio, static, then dispatch. Lightning strike East Ridge, small fire reported. Crew en route, ETA 40 minutes. 40 minutes was a lifetime in a dry October. I grabbed my pack, pulled on my slicker. Stay inside, lock the door. Alex turned. I'm coming. You can't walk. I can hobble, and I know that ridge. I opened my mouth to argue, but another flash lit her face, set, unafraid. I handed her Sarah's spare rain jacket instead. Maya clung to my leg. Daddy, don't go. I'll be back before the pancakes burn, I promised. I kissed the top of her head, then looked at Alex. Mrs. Delgado's on her way, 10 minutes. Alex nodded. She knelt, wincing, and cupped Maya's face. We'll save the bears, okay? You hold the fort. Maya sniffed, brave. Okay. Mrs. Delgado arrived soaked, took one look at Alex in my gear, and didn't ask questions. I handed her the spare key and the radio. Call if anything. Go, she said. I've got them. We took the truck as far as the service road allowed, then hiked the rest. Alex leaned on the alder crutch, slower than I liked but steady. The trail was a creek. Mud sucked at our boots. Lightning stitched the sky, showing the smoke plume rising black against black. The fire was small but hungry, ground fire chewing through duff and needle cast, licking up a fallen hemlock. If it crowned, the holy slope would go. I radioed coordinates, started digging a brake line with the Pulaski. Alex grabbed the collapsible shovel from my pack without asking. You'll reopen the fracture, I snapped. Better than losing the forest. She was right. We worked side by side, dirt flying, breath fogging. The crew arrived 25 minutes later. 4 volunteers, 2 engines. We had the flames boxed before they crowned. By the time the rain eased to a drizzle, the fire was a smoking scar no bigger than a classroom. We stood panting, faces streaked with soot. One of the volunteers, a kid from the college program, clapped me on the back. Nice save, Ranger Carter. Alex leaned on her shovel, hair plastered to her cheeks. He had help. The kid grinned. Ma'am, you're a legend. She laughed, Startled, the sound bright against the hiss of steam. Back at the truck, I noticed the satchel she'd carried since day one, still slung across her body, soaked, but intact. Something inside glowed faintly through the canvas. Alex, she followed my gaze, unzipped the bag, and pulled out a sleek black device the size of a deck of cards. A red light pulsed. She stared at it like it might bite. "Emergency beacon," she said. "Government channels. I forgot I had it." She pressed a sequence. The screen lit up. Hartwell Industries, Incident Command. Below it, her full name in bold, Alexandra Hartwell, CEO. I felt the ground tilt. I'd seen that name on protest signs, on the sides of logging trucks, in the local paper's op-eds. Hartwell Industries, the conglomerate that had been buying up timber rights along the Cedar Falls border for 2 years. The ones pushing to clear-cut the old growth for a processing plant. Alex's face went white under the grime. "Ben, you're her." She nodded once. I looked at the smoldering brake line, then back at her. "You were going to sign the papers tomorrow." Another nod. "To cut down my forest." "I was supposed to," she whispered. "I ran instead." The rain picked up again, cold needles on my neck. I should have been angry, should have felt betrayed. Instead, all I felt was the weight of her standing there, soaked and shaking, holding a device that could summon helicopters and lawyers, and the end of everything I'd sworn to protect. I took the beacon from her hand, turned it over. "Does it track location?" "Yeah, then we're turning it off." I powered it down, removed the battery, and dropped both pieces into my pocket. Alex watched, eyes wide. "You could have let me go," she said. "I still can." She looked at the forest, then at me. "I don't want to." Thunder rolled, distant now. The fire crew packed up, engines rumbling away. We stood alone in the mud. "I was in the boardroom," she said, voice barely audible over the rain. "They had the maps spread out. Your cabin was a red dot labeled obstruction. I saw Maya's school bus route on the evacuation plan. I couldn't breathe. So I walked out, took the service elevator to the garage, drove until the road ended, then hiked until I fell. I didn't know what to say. So I said the only thing that mattered. "You're here now." She laughed, a broken sound. "I'm a coward. You're alive." She looked at her hands, caked with dirt. "I don't know how to be anything else." I took the shovel from her, slung it over my shoulder. "Then we'll start with breakfast." We walked back slow. The forest smelled of wet ash and pine. Halfway to the truck, Alex stopped. "Ben." I turned. "I'm sorry." "For what?" "For what my family's trying to do. For what I almost did." I nodded. "Then help me stop it." She searched my face. "You'd trust me?" "I trust the woman who just dug fire line with a broken leg." A ghost of a smile. "That's a low bar." "It's a start." We reached the truck. I opened the passenger door, helped her in. She hesitated. "Maya's going to ask questions." "Maya asks questions about everything." "We'll answer the ones we can." She climbed in, wincing as her leg took her weight. I shut the door, walked around, and slid behind the wheel. The cab smelled of wet dog and pine needles and something new. Possibility, maybe. I started the engine. "One rule. Name it. No more running. Not from me, not from this." She looked out the windshield at the dripping trees. "Deal." The wipers cleared the glass in slow arcs. I pulled onto the service road, headlights cutting tunnels through the dark. Behind us, the forest steamed and settled. Ahead, the cabin lights glowed faint through the rain, a small beacon in a world that suddenly felt a lot bigger than it had an hour ago. Alex rested her head against the window. "Ben?" "Yeah?" "I've never had pancakes with a ranger before." I smiled despite everything. First time for everything. The knock came at dawn, 3 sharp raps that cut through the cabin like gunshots. Maya was still asleep, curled on the couch with Mr. Monte, Fox tucked under her chin. Alex sat at the kitchen table, cradling a mug of coffee, her splinted legs stretched out on a chair. I'd been up since 4, staring at the beacon battery in my palm, trying to decide what came next. The knock, decided for me. I opened the door to 4 men in dark suits, badges glinting under the porch light. Behind them, 2 black SUVs idled on the gravel, engines ticking as they cooled. A third vehicle, a news van, parked farther back, camera already rolling. "Benjamin Carter?" The lead suit didn't wait for an answer. "FBI, step outside." I stayed in the doorway. "Got a warrant?" He held up a tablet. My face stared back from the screen, mugshot style, taken from my Ranger ID. Below it, suspect in kidnapping of Alexandra Hartwell, CEO, Hartwell Industries. My stomach dropped. Alex appeared behind me, pale but steady. "That's me. And he didn't kidnap anyone." The agent's eyes flicked to her. "Ma'am, please step away from the suspect. He saved my life." "We have evidence to the contrary." From the SUVs, Theodore Hartwell emerged. Tall, silver-haired, coat unbuttoned despite the chill. I'd seen his face on billboards in the paper, always smiling like he owned the sky. Now he looked carved from ice. "Alexandra," he called, voice smooth as oil. "Come with us. This has gone far enough." She gripped my arm. "I'm not going anywhere." Theodore's smile didn't waver. "You're confused. Traumatized. We'll get you help." 2 agents moved up forward. I stepped in front of Alex. "Touch her and you'll need more than badges." The lead agent sighed, produced cuffs. "Mr. Carter, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, and obstruction of federal land use." "Federal land use?" I laughed, bitter. "You mean the forest you're planning to bulldoze?" He didn't answer. The cuffs clicked cold around my wrists. Maya's scream cut the air. She'd woken, seen the strangers, seen me bound. She bolted past Alex, tiny fists pounding the agent's leg. "Let my daddy go!" Alex scooped her up, shielding her face. "Maya, baby, it's okay. Look at me." Theodore approached, hand outstretched. "Give me the child, Alexandra." "Over my dead body!" Reporters shouted questions. Cameras flashed. I caught fragments. "Ransom demand? Environmental terrorist? Hartwell heiress held for land rights?" Alex's voice rose above the chaos. "Listen to me. Ben Carter saved me when I fell. I've been here willingly. Your story is a lie." Theodore's eyes narrowed. "You're not yourself. The stress—" "I'm more myself than I've ever been." She turned to the cameras. "Hartwell Industries falsified environmental impact reports to clear-cut Cedar Falls. I have proof, and I'm not signing anything." A murmur rippled through the press. Theodore's smile faltered. The agents pushed me toward the SUV. Maya wailed, reaching for me. Alex held her tight, tears streaking soot from last night's fire. "Go sekubo chauchu?" Maya sobbed. Alex's answer was fierce. "I promise." They loaded me into the back of the vehicle. Through the window, I watched Theodore lean close to Alex, voice low. "You'll ruin everything we've built." Then maybe it deserved ruining. The door slammed. The SUV lurched forward, gravel spitting under tires. In the rear view, Alex stood in the doorway, Maya in her arms, porch light haloing them both. Theodore's hand clamped her shoulder. She didn't flinch. The drive to county lockup took 40 minutes. They booked me, prints, photos, the whole show. The holding cell smelled of bleach and old coffee. I sat on the bench, wrists raw from cuffs, replaying Maya's scream. Hours blurred. A public defender showed up, harried, tie askew. "They're pushing federal charges. Extortion's the big one, claiming you held her for the land. Bail hearings tomorrow." "Evidence?" "Her statement, and a ransom note they say you sent." "I've never sent a note in my life." He shrugged. "Hartwell's lawyers are good." Night fell. The cell lights buzzed. I thought of Maya's face, of Alex's promise. Sleep didn't come. Morning brought the hearing. Courtroom packed, reporters, activists, a few rangers I recognized. Theodore sat front row, suit pristine. Alex wasn't there. The prosecutor laid out the case, my history of environmental protests, the convenient timing of Alex's disappearance, the ransom note demanding Hartwell cede Cedar Falls. They projected it on screen, block letters, my name signed at the bottom. Forgery, obvious to anyone who'd seen my handwriting, but the judge looked grim. The defender cross-examined. No physical evidence, No witnesses, just the note and Theodore's testimony that Alex had been coerced. Then the doors burst open. Alex strode in, crutches gone, leg in a walking boot, flanked by two lawyers I didn't recognize. She'd changed, hair pulled back, suit sharp, but her eyes burned. "Your Honor," she said, voice cutting through the room, "I'm Alexandra Hartwell, and I'm here to testify." The prosecutor stammered. Theodore stood. "She's not competent. Sit down, grandfather." Gasps. Alex took the stand. She laid out everything, the boardroom, the maps, her fall, the 11 days. Produced her phone, location data proving she'd been at the cabin voluntarily. Showed the forged note, metadata traced to a Hartwell server. "I ran because I refused to destroy a forest for profit. Ben Carter saved my life. The only kidnapping here is my grandfather trying to silence me." The judge banged the gavel. "Charges dismissed. Mr. Carter, you're free to go." Reporters scrambled. Theodore's face went purple. Agents moved to escort him out. New warrants, fraud, conspiracy. I stepped into the hallway, legs shaky. Alex waited by the doors, alone now. She looked smaller without the crutches, but taller somehow. "You came," I said. "I promised Maya." I wanted to hug her, but cameras flashed. Instead, I asked, "What happens now?" "Now," she said, "we save the forest. Together." She offered her hand. I took it. Her grip was steady, warm. Outside, the October sun broke through clouds for the first time in weeks, spilling gold across the courthouse steps. The first thing I saw when the cell door opened was Alex's face. Tired, determined, and streaked with tears she hadn't bothered to wipe away. She stood between two lawyers in cheap suits, holding my keys in one hand and Maya's stuffed fox in the other. Behind her, the hallway buzzed with reporters shouting questions that bounced off the cinder-block walls. I stepped out, free but unsteady, the last 3 weeks of fluorescent lights and stale bologna still clinging to my skin. Alex didn't speak until we reached the parking lot. My truck sat in impound, dented fender and all. She opened the passenger door, tossed Mr. Fox onto the seat, and climbed in after me. "Maya's with with Delgado," she said. "She thinks you're on a long camping trip. I didn't know how to explain jail to a 6-year-old. I started the engine. "You didn't have to do any of this." She looked out the windshield. "Yes, I did." The drive home was quiet. Cedar Falls rolled past in watercolor streaks. Gold alders, wet pavement, the smell of rain on asphalt. Every mile felt like peeling off a layer of the man they'd tried to make me in that cell. We pulled up to the cabin at dusk. Maya burst through the door before I'd killed the engine, barefoot, hair wild, arms outstretched. "Daddy!" I caught her mid-leap, her weight solid and real against my chest. She smelled like wood smoke and crayons. Mrs. Delgado followed, eyes red, and pulled me into a hug that cracked my ribs. Alex hung back on the porch steps, hands in her coat pockets. Maya wriggled down and ran to her. "You came back," Maya said, voice small. "I promised," Alex answered. Maya took her hand and led her inside like it was the most natural thing in the world. That night we ate spaghetti from the same pot, sauce splattered on the table, Maya falling asleep between us on the couch. I carried her to bed, tucked the quilt under her chin. When I came back, Alex was at the sink, washing dishes one-handed, boot propped on a stool. "You should sit," I said. I've sat for 3 weeks. She didn't look up. "I resigned this morning, effective immediately." I leaned against the counter. "And the land. Bought it. All 42,000 acres. Paid cash from my trust. Transferred to a conservation easement. Permanent. No logging, no development, no exceptions." I stared. "That's billions." It was blood money. She scrubbed a plate harder than necessary. "I'm done laundering it." The plate slipped, shattered in the sink. She froze, shoulders shaking. I turned off the water, took the broken pieces from her hands. "Hey." She wouldn't look at me. "Alex?" She met my eyes then, raw, terrified. "I don't know who I am without the company, without the name. I've never been just me." I dried my hands, took hers. "You're the woman who dug fire line with a broken leg. who taught my daughter to fold paper cranes, who stood in a courtroom and told the truth when it cost her everything. That's enough." She laughed, wet and shaky. "You make it sound simple." "It's not, but it's a start." Maya's voice drifted from the hallway, sleepy. "Mom?" We both turned. Maya stood in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. Alex's breath caught. Maya padded over, climbed into Alex's lap without hesitation. "Bad dream. Can I sleep with you guys?" Alex looked at me, eyes wide. I nodded. We ended up on the couch. Me on one end, Alex in the middle, Maya curled against her like a comma. The fire popped. Outside, the forest breathed. Alex whispered so low I almost missed it. "I've never had a family." "You do now." 3 days later, the news broke nationwide. Hartwell Industries. Implosion. Stock plummeted. Theodore indicted on 23 counts. Fraud, bribery, environmental crimes. The board ousted him by noon. By evening, the Cedar Falls purchase was public. Heiress gives up fortune to save ancient forest. Reporters camped at the gate. I unplugged the landline, disabled the doorbell. We stayed inside, curtains drawn, teaching Maya to play gin rummy by lantern light. One afternoon, a courier delivered a thick envelope. Deeds, titles, conservation agreements. Alex signed every page without hesitation. When the last pen stroke dried, she slid the stack across the table. "It's yours now. Ours." I flipped through. My name beside hers on every line. Permanent trustees. Maya's name in the succession clause. "You sure?" I asked. I've never been more sure of anything. That night, we walked the ridge at sunset. Maya between us, Alex leaning on my arm, boot-crunching pine needles. The forest stretched endless, gold and shadow. Maya tugged Alex's sleeve. "Are you going to live with us forever?" Alex knelt, eye level. "If your dad lets me." Maya looked at me. "Daddy?" I ruffled her hair. "Looks like we're stuck with her." Maya squealed, threw her arms around Alex's neck. Alex laughed. Full, real, the sound echoing off the trees. Later, back at the cabin, Maya asleep, Alex and I sat on the porch. Stars crowded the sky like spilled salt. "I have to tell you something," she said. I waited. "The doctors, they found something. When I was in Portland for the hearing. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The world tilted. "How long?" "Months, maybe a year with treatment." I couldn't speak. She took my hand. "I'm not afraid. Not anymore. I've lived more in these weeks than in 38 years. I pulled her close, buried my face in her hair. She smelled like wood smoke and rain. "We'll fight it," I said. "We'll live it," she corrected. "Every day." We stayed like that until the cold drove us inside. The fire had burned low. I added a log, watched the sparks rise. Alex stood in the doorway, silhouetted. "Ben?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for not letting me run." I crossed the room, kissed her forehead. "Thank you for staying." She smiled, tired but luminous. "Turns out home isn't a place. It's a promise." I took her hand. Together we walked to bed. Maya's soft snores down the hall, the forest quiet outside, the future uncertain but ours. The diagnosis came back on a Tuesday in early November, the kind of gray morning where the fog never quite lifts. Alex had driven to Portland for a follow-up on her leg, but the orthopedic surgeon sent her straight to oncology. She called me from the hospital parking lot, voice steady in that way people get when they're holding everything together with string. "It's pancreatic," she said. "Stage 4, spread to the liver." I was in the middle of splitting kindling, axe frozen mid-swing. Maya was inside coloring a map of the forest for school. I set the axe down, walked to the porch, and sat on the steps like the world had tilted. "How long?" I asked. 6 months to a year, maybe more with chemo, maybe less." I closed my eyes. The forest sounded louder, wind in the firs, a raven calling from the ridge. "Come home." "I am home," she said, and hung up. She walked through the door an hour later, boot swapped for a medical walking shoe, a folder of scans tucked under her arm. Maya ran to her, arms wide. "Did they fix your leg?" "Getting there." Alex knelt, hugged her tight. "But I have to tell you something important." Maya's eyes went serious. Alex sat her on the couch, took both small hands. "Remember when we talked about how some trees get sick and fall down, but new ones grow?" Maya nodded. "My body's like that tree right now. The doctors are trying to help, but it might fall sooner than we want." Maya's lip trembled. "Will it hurt?" "Sometimes. But I have you and Daddy. That makes it better." I stood in the doorway, throat thick. Maya looked at me. "Daddy, can we make her soup?" We made soup, chicken and wild rice the way Sarah used to. Alex ate half a bowl, then pushed it away. That night she started the first round of chemo in Portland, commuting 3 days a week. I drove her when I could, Mrs. Delgado watching Maya. The drugs hit hard. Nausea, hair thinning, days she couldn't get out of bed. But she never complained. Mornings she could manage, she'd sit on the porch with Maya, teaching her to identify lichens by taste, safe ones only. Afternoons, she worked from the couch, laptop balanced on a pillow, drafting grant proposals for the Hartwell Legacy Foundation. She'd turned the old woodshed into an office, walls papered with maps and kids' drawings. One evening in December, snow dusting the ridge, she called me outside. The foundation's first check had cleared, enough to hire 2 full-time educators and build a yurt classroom on the trail. "It's real," she said, holding the bank letter like it might vanish. "Kids will come here, learn what we learned." I kissed her temple, tasted salt. Her hair was gone now, shaved close, a soft shadow under the beanie Maya knitted. She looked fierce. Winter deepened. Chemo rounds 2 and 3. Alex lost weight, but not spirit. She insisted on leading the first school group in January. 20 third graders from the local elementary, bundled in snowsuits, tromping the Alexandra Trail behind her like ducklings. She told them how old-growth forests store carbon, how one Douglas fir can hold 1,000 gallons of water. When a boy asked why the trees were worth saving, she pointed to Maya, who was passing out pine cone bird feeders. "Because they teach us how to stand tall even when the wind tries to break us." The kids clapped. Maya beamed. Spring came early. Alex's scans showed shrinkage. Small victories. She gained enough strength to hike the lower loop without the boot. We planted a vegetable garden together, Maya insisting on a row of sunflowers for Mom. Alex laughed when the seeds sprouted crooked. Nights were harder. Pain crept in after dark. I'd find her on the porch at 2 a.m., wrapped in Sarah's old quilt, staring at the stars. I'd bring tea, sit beside her. We didn't talk much, just breathed the same cold air. One night in April, the aurora borealis flickered green across the sky, rare this far south. Maya woke, dragged us all outside in pajamas. We lay on a blanket in the clearing, 3 bodies under one sky. Alex's voice was soft. "Maya, if I'm not here next year, remember this. The lights don't need permission to dance." Maya snuggled closer. "You'll be here. You promised." Alex kissed her forehead. "I'm trying, baby." I held them both, felt the fragile weight of her bones under the quilt. The light shimmered, then faded. Summer brought heat and wildfire smoke from California. Alex's energy flagged. Chemo round 4 was brutal. Hospital stays, IVs, days she couldn't keep water down. The foundation grew anyway. Donations poured in after a viral video of Maya leading a tour went national. Reporters called. Alex declined interviews. "I'm not the story," she told them. "The forest is." August. The pain moved to her spine. Hospice came to the cabin, set up a bed by the window so she could see the ridge. Maya read to her from the Lorax, voice steady. I cooked broth she couldn't taste. One evening the sun set gold behind the firs. Alex called us in. She was propped on pillows, skin translucent, eyes bright. "I need to tell you both something." Maya climbed onto the bed. I sat on the edge. "I'm not going to beat this," Alex said, but I'm not scared, and I lived a whole life in 11 months. I learned how to be a person, how to love without contracts." Maya started crying. Alex wiped her tears with a thumb gone thin. "Listen, the foundation, keep it growing. Teach kids to fight for what's right, even when it's hard. And Ben, I took her hand, I love her like you loved me. Fierce, every day. I couldn't speak, just nodded. She smiled, exhausted. I'm tired now. We stayed with her. Maya fell asleep against her side. I held Alex's hand until her breathing slowed, then stopped. The forest outside was silent, as if it knew. We buried her under a young cedar on the ridge, the spot where she'd first taught Maya to whistle with an acorn cap. No casket, just a woven blanket and wildflower seeds. The headstone was simple. Alexandra Hartwell. She chose the trees. Fall again. Maya started first grade. I turned the cabin into a classroom on weekends. Kids came from 3 counties, learned to read tree rings, track elk, plant seedlings. Maya led the tours now, voice clear, eyes shining. One night, snow on the ground, Maya asked, "Do you think Mom's watching?" I looked out the window at the ridge, the cedar taller already. Every time the wind moves through the branches. She nodded, satisfied. Years passed. The foundation thrived. Laws changed. Cedar Falls became the first fully protected old-growth reserve in the state, thanks to Alex's evidence and Maya's testimony at 16. Theodore died in prison. Hartwell Industries dissolved. I never remarried. Some nights I still sit on the porch, coffee gone cold, listening for her laugh in the wind. The forest grew around her grave, wild and fierce, the way she wanted. And every spring, when the sunflowers bloom crooked in the garden, Maya brings one to the cedar and tells Alex about her day. The cedar Alex rests beneath has grown into a teenager now, trunk thick as my thigh, branches sweeping low enough to brush the headstone we never needed. Maya, 24, stands at the trailhead in ranger greens, hair braided tight, voice carrying over 100 middle schoolers crammed onto cedar rounds. The sign behind her reads Alexandra Trail Station, Est, 2026. Below it, a black and white photo. Alex in muddy boots, arms around a 6-year-old Maya and a stunned 34-year-old me, forest green and endless at our backs. Maya raises a hand. The kid's quiet. 10 years ago, she begins, a woman gave up a fortune to save this forest. She wasn't born here. She didn't have to care, but she chose to. Today you're going to learn why. I watch from the back row, ball cap pulled low, coffee cooling in a tin mug. The kids lean in, some bored, some wide-eyed, as Maya walks them through carbon counts, soil health, the sound a 400-year-old fir makes when it falls. None of them will ever hear it, and that's the point. She moves like Alex did on her best days. Sure, economical, every gesture meaning something. Afternoon brings the dedication ceremony. A ribbon of biodegradable twine stretches across the new boardwalk. Local brass, a senator, a documentary crew. Maya insisted I cut the ribbon. I refused. She does it instead, scissors flashing, kids cheering. The senator tries a speech. Maya cuts him off with a raised eyebrow she definitely learned from Alex. Laughter ripples. Later, the crowd thins. Maya finds me by the fire pit, now ringed with stumps painted like tree cookies. You okay, Dad? I nod. Proud doesn't cover it. She bumps my shoulder. Calm, Marissa, come on. One more thing. She leads me up the switchback to the overlook, new since last year, funded by a grant Alex wrote in her final weeks. A bronze plaque glints on the railing, Alexandra Hartwell Trail. She taught us that courage is measured in acres protected and children inspired. In memory of the woman who chose love over legacy. Maya's name is etched below as founding director, mine as steward. We stand in silence. Wind moves through the canopy, a low, living roar. Somewhere downhill, kids shriek over a banana slug. Maya pulls a folded paper from her pocket, yellowed, edges soft. Alex's handwriting, the last letter she managed before the pain took her voice. Tell them the forest isn't ours to keep. It's theirs to borrow. Make them earn the loan. Maya tucks it back. I read it to every group on their last day. They get it. I swallow hard. She'd be proud. She is. Maya's smile is small, fierce. I feel her every time a kid plants a seed and promises to come back when it's tall. Dusk settles. The last bus pulls away. Maya locks the gate, shoulders her pack. I linger by the plaque, run a thumb over the letters. the metals warm from the sun. On the drive home, our home, the same cabin, porch sagging a little more, Maya tunes the radio to the station Alex loved, old blues and crackly signal. We don't talk. We don't need to. At the mailbox, a single envelope waits. No return address. Inside, a photograph. Maya at 16, testifying before Congress, Alex's foundation logo on the screen behind her. On the back, in handwriting I don't recognize, she did it. The forest is safe. Thank you for keeping the promise. I show Maya. She traces the words, eyes shining. Think it's from one of the kids? She asks. Doesn't matter, I say. Message delivered. That night, I sit on the porch with coffee gone cold again. The Milky Way spills overhead, same as the night Alex left us. I raise the mug. To the woman who traded empires for evergreens. The wind answers, rustling the cedar on the ridge. Somewhere in the dark, a child's laugh echoes up the trail, another borrower earning the loan. I smile, set the mug down, and go inside. The fire's low, the cabin warm. Maya's asleep on the couch, field notes spread like wings. I cover her with the quilt Sarah's mother made, the one that wrapped Alex through her final winter. The forest keeps its promises, so do we.